How are you doing? I hope we're finding you well this week, and I hope this journey into the Word can be a little bit of an encouragement for you wherever you're at this point in your day, in your week, in your walk with Christ. We all struggle with rules, don't we? I think everyone can absolutely agree we all struggle with rules. And the passage we looked at this week, Mark 2:22 through 28, is this passage where the Pharisees are struggling with the rules of the Sabbath. And Jesus and His disciples, they come walking through the grain field and popping off some of the tops of the grain. And the Pharisees just freak out and they say, why are you working on the Sabbath? And that's what my rules are all about. I'm not supposed to do anything today, therefore you're not supposed to do anything today. And they try to come down on Him like with this hammer and try to be stronger than Jesus is. And Jesus responds in this weird way, and he just don't you know Scripture? And He shows them an example of how Scripture showed another way of handling the situation. And that showed us several things. That's just that picture, and that one small picture of how Jesus and the Pharisees handled the Sabbath, it showed us several things. One, it showed us something about rules, in that rules can be used like a hammer, and they can be used to give one person leverage against another person. And clearly we all know that's when things go wrong. But rules are more like a forklift, lifting something that doesn't want to move where it needs to move. And rules for living are that same way. What I want to ask you this week, what are your rules for living? What Jesus used to guide Him through that situation was Scripture was His rules for living. He used Scripture as the guide to give direction and freedom in that situation. To recorrect and recreate that moment, He used Scripture to do it. So Jesus used Scripture in that moment. How can you use Scripture in that moment to give you more freedom and more direction in your life? If you knew that using Scripture as your guide could give you more freedom and more direction, what would you need to do in order to make that happen? Where is God living, and where is He active in the Word in your life right now? What's active and where is He moving in it? And make those Scripture more prominent in your life, more memorable in your life. Put them in a place where you can see them, that you can remind them, so that when you're at that place of confrontation, they can be your guidepost and your boundary for how to move in this direction or that direction. They can make your decisions much more clear and much easier. Make them prominent. Make them memorable. Put them on your mirror as you wake up in the morning if you need to. Put it in that place that you can remember them. What Scripture is memorable to you right now? What are your rules for living? And there's power in making Scripture your rules for living. I encourage you to do it. I do it. And it gives me more freedom and more strength. God bless.